Good evening and welcome to our channel. Tonight we will bring you 3 stories to help you calm your mind. So sit back, relax and enjoy. The Lighthouse Keeper. Far away from the bustling city and the noisy streets, on a remote wind-swept coast, there stood a lighthouse that guarded the treacherous shores. The lighthouse was perched on a craggy cliff, its stark, white form rising like a sentinel above the tumultuous sea. And at the heart of this towering structure lived a solitary figure, the lighthouse keeper, named Elias. Elias had spent most of his life in the comforting company of the ocean's whispers and the ever-reliable beam of the lighthouse. He was a man of few words, content in his solitude, and he dedicated himself to a singular purpose, guiding ships through the perilous waters at night. Every evening, as the sun descended beneath the horizon, Elias would ascend the narrow, spiralling stairs of the lighthouse to the lantern room. He would light the powerful beacon, casting its radiant light out into the vast, dark expanse of the sea. It was a beam of hope for the sailors navigating the tumultuous waves, a constant in the ever-changing sea. The night was Elias's time to shine, and he took immense pride in his work. With the lighthouse's beams sweeping across the waters, he felt like a guardian angel, watching over those who depended on his light to find their way home. The rhythmic turn of the lighthouse's lens became Elias's heartbeat, and the sound of the waves crashing against the rocks was his lullaby. He found solace in the company of seabirds that circled the cliffs, and the occasional seal that would venture close to shore. Though his life was solitary, Elias was far from lonely. He often spoke to the stars above, imagining them as celestial sailors navigating their way through the cosmos. He cherished the constellations as his closest friends and would trace their patterns with his finger as he gazed up at the night sky. One clear, moonlit night, a weary sailor named Amelia, aboard a ship named the Starlight, was caught in a fierce storm. The waves roared and the winds howled as the ship was tossed about like a leaf on the tempestuous sea. Blinded by rain and fear, Amelia thought all hope was lost. Just when despair threatened to overtake her, a beacon of light pierced through the storm's fury. It was Elias's lighthouse, guiding her towards safety. The sight of the lighthouse beam cutting through the darkness was like a lifeline, and she followed it with unwavering determination. Elias watched from the lantern room as the Starlight safely navigated the treacherous waters and found its way to the safety of the harbour. He felt a deep sense of fulfillment and happiness, knowing that he had played a part in saving the lives of those aboard the ship. From that night on, Elias's heart felt even lighter. The knowledge that he had made a difference in the lives of others filled him with a sense of purpose that was unparalleled. His solitude had become a source of strength, and the lighthouse had become his trusted friend. And so, Elias continued to stand tall as the keeper of the remote lighthouse, guiding ships through the night and finding peace in his solitude. For he knew that even in the quietest corners of the world, one person's dedication could bring light and hope to those who needed it most. The Tale of the Starry Desert. In a world not so different from ours, there lay a vast and mystical desert known as the Starry Desert. Under its sapphire skies, the sands stretched as far as the eye could see, golden dunes and shimmering grains reflecting the relentless sun. Yet, the true enchantment of the Starry Desert occurred at night, when the heavens painted their celestial masterpiece across the pitch-black canvas. People came from distant lands to witness the desert's nighttime spectacle, guided by stories of its otherworldly beauty. Among those who undertook this journey was a woman named Lila. She had heard tales of the starry desert from her grandmother and had longed to experience its wonders for herself. After days of travelling, Lila arrived at the edge of the desert as the sun dipped below the horizon. The golden sands absorbed the last rays of daylight, and the desert lay in serene twilight. She set up a small camp, and as darkness descended, she ventured into the heart of the starry desert. Beneath the inky sky, the desert transformed into a dreamscape. The stars above appeared to be brighter and more numerous than anywhere else in the world. They formed constellations unfamiliar to her, telling stories of the cosmos in twinkling lights. It was as though the universe had cast its own tale upon the desert floor. Lila wandered through the dunes, her feet leaving soft impressions in the sand, her eyes fixed on the heavens. The vastness of the landscape and the canopy of stars above seemed to lull her mind into serenity. The silence of the desert was broken only by the gentle rustle of the wind and the distant call of a night bird. As she walked, the desert began to whisper its secrets to her. It told her stories of ancient civilizations that had once thrived in its embrace, leaving behind traces of their existence in the form of half-buried ruins. It spoke of nomadic tribes who had learned to survive in this unforgiving land, passing down their knowledge through generations. In the heart of the starry desert, Lila found a tranquil oasis, where a small pool of water reflected the brilliance of the night sky. She sat beside it, her fingers trailing through the cool, clear water. She listened to the tales whispered by the desert, stories of hope, endurance, and the ever-constant cycle of life. The hours passed, and Lila remained lost in the timeless beauty of the desert. It was a place where the cares of the world seemed distant, where the vastness of the landscape and the brilliance of the stars made her feel like a tiny, insignificant part of the cosmos. And yet, she felt a profound sense of connection to the universe itself. As the first light of dawn began to break across the horizon, Lila knew that her time in the starry desert was coming to an end. She took one last look at the enchanting night sky, etching its beauty into her memory, and then turned back towards her camp. The desert had shared its story with her, a tale of ancient wonders and the enduring mystery of the cosmos. It had left her with a sense of serenity and an understanding that there was so much more to the world and the universe than she could ever fully comprehend. Lila returned to her grandmother with the stories of the starry desert, sharing the enchantment and wisdom she had gained from her journey. The desert had left an indelible mark on her, a reminder of the beauty and wonder that could be found in the vastness of the world and the mysteries of the night sky.
The wisdom of the old oak tree. In the heart of a mystical forest, where the air was thick with enchantment, there stood a towering oak tree unlike any other. Its gnarled branches stretched high into the sky, while its roots delved deep into the earth, anchoring it in wisdom and time. This was the old oak tree, known to the forest's creatures as the keeper of stories and the bestower of wisdom. People from near and far journeyed to the magical forest, seeking refuge and guidance. They believed that the old oak tree held the power to soothe their worries and enrich their lives with its ancient wisdom. As the sun cast dappled patterns of light and shadow on the forest floor, the weary travelers would approach the tree, reverently placing their hands upon its rough, barky surface. One clear morning, a young woman named Alara ventured into the forest, her heart heavy with concerns and her spirit weary from the demands of the world. As she neared the old oak tree, she felt a sense of serenity wash over her. She slowly reached out to touch the tree's trunk, and as her fingers made contact, a warm, comforting energy enveloped her. The old oak tree, a silent sentinel for centuries, now chose to awaken its ancient voice to offer solace to the young traveler. It began to share its wisdom through whispered tales that filled Ilara's mind. Dear traveler, listen to the tales of the forest. The tree's voice echoed in her thoughts. Each leaf that rustles, each bird that sings, and each creature that calls this forest home has a story to tell. These stories remind us of the interwoven tapestry of life and the beauty of existence. Just as the forest finds harmony in its diversity, so can you find balance and purpose in your own journey. Ilara sat down at the base of the old oak tree, her eyes closed, absorbing its ancient wisdom like a sponge soaking up water. She heard stories of the first rays of sunlight that kissed the forest floor, of the delicate balance between predator and prey, and of the seasons, each playing its part in the forest's eternal dance of life. She listened to tales of love, loss, and rebirth, of how the trees released their leaves in the fall, knowing that they would be reborn in the spring. The old oak tree's words painted vivid images in her mind, creating a profound sense of understanding and connection to the natural world. As the sun arched high in the sky, Ilara felt a deep peace washing over her, as if the tree's wisdom had wrapped her in a cocoon of serenity. It was a feeling of acceptance and gratitude for the world, for life's ebbs and flows, and for the interconnectedness of all living beings. With her heart lightened and her spirit rejuvenated, Ilara stood up, her gaze fixed on the old oak tree. "Thank you," she whispered, her words carried on the gentle breeze. "I came seeking wisdom, and you have given me more than I could have imagined." The old oak tree replied with a final piece of wisdom. "Remember, dear traveler, that the forest and its stories are always here for you. In times of doubt or weariness, return to nature, and you will find the solace and wisdom you seek." Ilara left the magical forest with a renewed sense of purpose and a deep respect for the natural world. She knew that the wisdom of the old oak tree would remain with her always, a reminder that in the heart of nature, one could find respite and knowledge, and that the world's greatest lessons were often whispered by the wise old trees.